Good evening. It's Thursday the 24th of July and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Border clash. Thai and Cambodian troops clash near disputed Tha Thom temple amid rising border tensions and escalating violence. Prisoner of war exchange. Russia and Ukraine agreed to exchange 1,200 prisoners of war and bodies of fallen soldiers during peace talks. Swimmer's mission. Marathon swimmer completes 9 hours scanning Italy's lake swim to raise awareness for protecting lakes and oceans.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Prithika Sivakumar.
Good evening once again. Tensions between Thailand and Cambodia have erupted into armed clashes near the disputed Tha Thom temple. Residents near the border in Sirin in Sasaket provinces are taking shelter as weeks of rising diplomatic friction escalate into cross-border violence.
A long-standing border dispute between Thailand and Cambodia has once again turned violent, with clashes erupting near the contested Tha Thom temple along the eastern frontier. The fighting, which began early today, has forced residents in Thailand's Sirin and Sisaket provinces to seek cover in makeshift bunkers constructed from concrete, sandbags and old tires. Gunfire and explosions were heard throughout the day, prompting fears of a broader military escalation. The affected area lies roughly 360 kilometers from Bangkok, with both countries exchanging fire in what appears to be the most serious flare-up in years. Footage from the ground shows civilians, including children and elderly residents, huddled in shelters as the authorities monitor the situation closely. Tensions were reignited in May when a Cambodian soldier was killed during a brief but deadly exchange of gunfire, heightening diplomatic strain between the two Southeast Asian neighbors. What began as a relatively minor incident has since evolved into a full-blown crisis, underscoring the fragile nature of unresolved border demarcations in the region. While both countries have a history of standoffs around the 900-year-old Priya Vihar and Tha Thom temples, sites claimed by both sides, recent months have seen inflammatory rhetoric and troop buildups near the border.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in London yesterday to sign a landmark free trade agreement with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The deal will slash tariffs on whiskey, cars, food and grant duty-free access to Indian textiles and EVs.
The free trade agreement between India and the United Kingdom concluded in principle this May after nearly 3 years of on and off negotiations, is now set for formal signing during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 4-day state visit to London. The deal is being billed as a landmark step in post-Brexit trade for the UK and a strategic breakthrough for India, which seeks stronger partnerships with Western economies. Among its key provisions, India will cut its steep 150% import tariff on Scotch whisky by half immediately, with a further reduction to 40% over the next decade. In return, the UK will eliminate tariffs on 99% of Indian exports, including textiles, electric vehicles, gems and machinery. British automakers are also set to benefit, with Indian import duties on select UK-made cars currently over 100%, dropping to just 10% under a limited quota. Both nations expect the deal to significantly boost two-way trade, which currently stands at around £36 billion annually. For the UK, this agreement marks its most comprehensive bilateral trade pact since leaving the European Union, and analysts estimate it could inject up to £4.8 billion annually into the British economy. It also comes at a critical time for Prime Minister Keir Starmer's new government, which has pledged to pursue a more globally engaged trade policy while securing new jobs and exports. Key sectors set to benefit include automotive manufacturing, cosmetics, agriculture, and the Scotch whisky industry. For India, the deal delivers duty-free access to major export segments like the garments, leather goods, engineering equipment, and EV sectors, crucial for employment generation and industrial growth.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called for urgent rebalancing of EU-China trade relations during a tense summit with President Xi Jinping. Marking 50 years of ties, discussions focused on trade imbalances, geopolitical tensions, and the need for cooperation.
The EU-China summit held today in Beijing marked a significant milestone, 50 years of diplomatic relations, but was overshadowed by escalating tensions and low expectations. Originally planned as a longer event, the summit was abruptly shortened to a single day at China's request, highlighting the strained state of affairs. Ursula von der Leyen, European Commission President, delivered a candid message emphasizing the urgent need to address the ballooning trade deficit the EU faces with China, which reached a record €305.8 billion last year. Von der Leyen stressed that a fundamental rebalancing of the economic relationship is essential, calling on both sides to acknowledge their respective concerns and to pursue real, actionable solutions to create a fairer and more sustainable partnership. Von der Leyen's remarks reflect mounting frustrations in Brussels over persistent trade frictions and a range of geopolitical disputes, including divergent perspectives on the ongoing Ukraine conflict and human rights issues. The European Union is pressing for a more balanced and equitable trade framework, demanding fairer market access for European companies and stricter enforcement of existing trade rules to protect its industries. On the other hand, Chinese President Xi Jinping urged the EU to adopt correct strategic choices during their talks, signaling disapproval of what Beijing views as an increasingly hawkish stance from Brussels. Xi called for enhanced communication, mutual trust, and deepened cooperation, especially given the severe and complex international environment, underscoring Beijing's desire to maintain stable bilateral ties despite growing challenges.
One of Australia's largest energy providers has introduced a new plan offering significant savings for customers who limit their electricity use to daytime hours. This initiative aims to encourage energy conservation and reduce peak demand on the power grid.
For mum of three, Alicia Bell, simply feeding her family of five is costing hundreds every shop, stung by rising power prices. But that's something AGL is hoping to reduce for its customers by offering 3 hours of free electricity usage from 10 a.m. every day. Say the first state the new plan is being rolled out in, available to those with a smart meter who don't have solar panels boosting their supply.
You could think of it as solar without the panels, as a way to mirror those benefits for other customers who can't otherwise access.
3 other providers also offer a similar free energy period, including Glowbird and OVO, with Red Energy offering the sweetener only on the weekends. Experts say savvy energy users can reap the rewards from the plan by setting appliances like dishwashers to run during the free period.
Several Australian women allegedly subjected to invasive strip searches at Doha's Hamad Airport have been cleared to sue Qatar Airways. This follows a prolonged and stressful legal battle, highlighting growing concerns over passenger rights and airport security practices.
October 2, 2020, a baby found in a bin at Doha's International Airport. 5 Australian women alleged they were forced off a Qatar Airways plane by armed guards. As officials searched for the mother, 4 underwent degrading examinations, 3 of them invasive.
It was the scariest moment of my life.
The episode sparked global outrage, but the case was thrown out last year before it got to trial. Today, nearly 5 years on, they were given the green light to pick up their pursuit for damages. The court ordered that Qatar Airways and airline operations company Matter pay the women's appeal costs.
They're seeking compensation for mental stress, for the inconvenience, for the assault that occurred, the false imprisonment that occurred.
Today, the federal court exonerated the Qatar Civil Aviation Authority, saying it was immune from foreign jurisdiction.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. Welcome back. The International Court of Justice issued a landmark advisory opinion urging countries to urgently address climate change. The court emphasized strict legal obligations to reduce emissions, support the Paris Agreement, and highlighted growing global momentum for climate accountability.
Countries must address the, quote, urgent and existential threat of climate change. That was the strongly worded opinion issued by the United Nations highest court on Wednesday, which could determine future environmental litigation.
States must cooperate to achieve concrete emission reduction targets.
Judge Yuji Iwasawa is president of the International Court of Justice, also known as the World Court.
The court considers that the climate change treaties establish stringent obligations upon states to ensure the protection of the climate system.
Iwasawa said failing to comply with climate change treaties is a breach of international law. He also said that countries' climate plans must be of the highest ambition and collectively maintain standards to meet the aims of the 2015 Paris Agreement. That includes reducing greenhouse gas emissions and trying to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit. Vanuatu's climate minister, Ralph Regenvanu, said the court's opinion changes the discourse on climate change.
Today's ruling, I'm sure, will also inspire new cases where victims around the world in a legal sense realize that they can claim their rights and seek accountability.
Although it is non-binding, experts say Wednesday's advisory opinion of the World Court in The Hague carries legal and political weight, and future climate cases would be unable to ignore it. Outside the World Court, supporters of climate action held up a large banner reading, "Courts have spoken, governments must act now." Experts said Wednesday's opinion was a victory for small island nations and low-lying countries that had asked the court to clarify states' responsibilities.
I think I'm completely overjoyed.
Here's Vishal Prasad, a climate justice advocate from Fiji.
Boy, has the ICJ given us a strong tool to carry on the fight for climate justice, and so we're very glad.
The World Court's opinion could also make it easier for countries to hold other countries accountable over climate issues.
Russia and Ukraine agreed to exchange 1,200 prisoners of war and bodies of fallen soldiers during peace talks in Istanbul. Despite Kremlin warnings of difficult discussions, the third round of talks lasted under an hour, according to Russian state media reports.
Ukraine wants a ceasefire and proposed holding a leaders' meeting by the end of August with Presidents Trump and Erdogan with a view to ending the war.
A real ceasefire and end to all strikes on civilian infrastructure. These can be a crucial first steps towards lasting peace. By agreeing to this proposal, Russia can clearly demonstrate its constructive approach to everyone around the world, including our partners.
Russia, however, said there was still some distance between the two sides on those matters, but there was progress on a prisoner exchange. Ukraine said 1,200 prisoners in total would be involved. 1,000 of those would be Ukrainians, and the remains of 3,000 Ukrainian soldiers would also be returned. Meanwhile, prisoners from a previously agreed exchange arrived home in Ukraine on Wednesday.
I cannot express my emotions in words. Finally, my brother is home. Thank you, Lord. Finally, my brother is home.
And there were similar emotions among the Russian prisoners of war handed over by Ukraine at the Belarusian border.
I just want to say a big thank you to the motherland, which has not forgotten us. I want to send greetings to all my family and friends. I'm alive and I'll be home soon.
More exchanges will take place on Thursday, and both sides have agreed to continue with the talks. But with Ukraine accusing Moscow of issuing ultimatums, there's little sign yet of substantive progress to end the 41-month war.
Czech high school students in Tábor began voluntary military drills yesterday, learning combat skills and army life and rising European security concerns. The program introduces potential military careers as fears over Russia spur defense readiness.
At a military base in Tábor, Central Czech Republic, dozens of high school students participated in a day-long voluntary military exercise designed to give them a taste of life in uniform. Wearing camouflage helmets and handling mock firearms under the supervision of Czech soldiers, the students learned fundamental skills like tactical movement, field survival and rifle safety. The training is part of a national effort to introduce young people to potential careers in the armed forces, while building basic resilience and discipline. Organized by the Czech military with the support of chaplain Petr Haska, the program also aims to strengthen civil military engagement in a region increasingly sensitive to threats from abroad. Officials say the initiative is not meant to militarize youth, but rather prepare them with knowledge and exposure to defense structures during uncertain times. The drills come at a time of heightened anxiety in Eastern Europe, where Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine has forced many countries to rethink national defense strategies. Young participants expressed their concerns over the worsening European security environment, citing Russia as a central threat and calling for NATO countries to remain prepared for potential aggression.
Shannon Nicole Womack, aged 39, has been arrested in Pennsylvania after allegedly impersonating 4 nurses using around 20 aliases since 2020. Charged with 43 counts including identity theft, forgery and endangering patients, authorities say she also stole prescription medications.
She went by dozens of names, but police say Shannon Womack is the real name behind the multi-state nursing fraud scheme. Womack is accused of using 20 aliases and 7 social security numbers to get jobs at nursing homes and rehab facilities, despite her lack of qualifications. Investigators say she stole the identities of real nurses, even setting up a fake staffing agency to hire herself.
So she was picking up the phone and transferring those employment jobs and careers to herself.
In Pennsylvania alone, she was fired from 9 facilities, often after being accused of stealing medication like oxycodone.
She was perpetrating not only a fraud, but not providing the care that was needed.
During a traffic stop, police say she provided 3 fake names. Only after fingerprinting did they uncover her true identity. They say her vehicle was packed with patient logs, drug paraphernalia, and equipment from multiple facilities. At the time, she was wanted in 4 states on charges related to fraud and impersonating a nurse. Officials say she may have started the scheme during the pandemic to take advantage of hospitals in desperate need of nurses.
During that COVID time, they got hit hard and they needed help. So it wasn't uncommon for these different residence locations, agencies to reach out to host agencies and say, we need some extra shifts filled.
The nursing shortage hasn't let up. Nearly 140,000 have left the workforce since 2022. And 40% of those working today say they intend to leave the job in the next 5 years.
Time for a short break now. We'll be right back with more world news. Welcome back. Rachel DeWitt completed a grueling 9-hour marathon swim across Kaneateles Lake in New York. Swim aimed to raise awareness and support efforts to preserve America's lakes and oceans, which highlights the importance of water conservation.
Every night here, we hear from so many of you at home, hometowns across this country, with ideas for America Strong. In the last 24 hours, we heard from many of you in my own hometown. Tonight here, the story of a young swimmer, Rachel DeWitt, and what she's now done to help raise awareness for America's lakes, to keep them pristine and to preserve them, including the one closest to her heart, Skaneateles Lake. Rachel learned to swim in the lake. She was on the Skaneateles High School varsity swim team. It's even a town tradition, jumping into the lake with your cap and gown on graduation. Rachel then earning degrees in environmental science and marine biodiversity, now working for the nonprofit Ocean Conservancy. Rachel came up with an idea how to raise money for the Skaneateles Lake Association, working to keep the water clean here and to bring awareness to America's lakes. Challenging herself to swim the entire length of Skaneateles Lake, 16 miles. For more than a year, training for the longest swim of her life, her parents right there with her as she practiced in the morning. Her dad, Bob, following Rachel in the boat. Her mom, Terry, part of the team of kayakers guiding her.
Love you!
Just this week, Rachel was ready.
Go, Rachel!
At sunrise, starting at the concrete seawall next to the village pier, she was off. Along the way, so many from the community cheering her on. Children waving to her. 10 miles in, the campers at Lourdes Camp, cheering 6 miles to go. And after 9 hours and about 32,000 strokes, Rachel did it. And right here tonight,
Hi, David.
Rachel on why she did it.
This lake really made me who I am and made me care about water conservation.
A groundbreaking new machine is set to revolutionize cancer treatment by delivering personalized radiotherapy. Designed to target complex and hard-to-reach tumors, this advanced technology promises more precise and effective care for patients, improving outcomes and reducing side effects.
Replicating a machine that looks like something from a production line. This is a robotic cancer-fighting arm called the CyberKnife. Susan Ernsdorfer was diagnosed with liver cancer in 2015. She had a 10-centimetre tumour and fought it with drug treatment, surgery and radiation therapy. But the cancer came back 3 times, albeit much smaller, so she turned to this.
I had my 5 treatments and I came back, and then over a period of months I had blood tests and scans, and eventually that tumour had disappeared, and that was 6 years ago.
This high-tech robot can project radiation through hundreds of angles across the patient and help attack hard-to-reach tumours in areas like the brain, spine, lungs, liver and prostate. The treatment can work on its own or be integrated with other methods depending on the needs of the patient.
It has an in-house GPS system that can identify, track and trace the tumour.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I am Pritika Sivakumar, and we'll leave you tonight with the visuals of Caracas Riders Race, reshaping the district through sport. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Prashansa Gunawardana will be joining you next with the Nightly Business Report. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.